and welcome back to my channel. And if this is your first time here, then hi, my name is Lauren, and on my channel we mostly talk about anything luxury, but we also discuss lifestyle and beauty. So if you're interested in any of these topics, please consider subscribing to my channel, and we'll get started with the video. So in today's video, I'm presenting you the top reasons why we don't wear our designer items and my tips and tricks to tell yourself to still wear them. So if you are curious to see what these are, then please keep on watching. The number one reason that I find myself to be very guilty of is I don't wear X because I'm waiting for an occasion. And here, the main thing that I want to tell you is to treat every day like an occasion. My grandma actually passed away fairly recently, and since then, I've kind of been looking back at my life and trying to enjoy the little things a lot more. So for example, if dressing up is your thing, if you enjoy taking, designer handbags out, then don't wait for an occasion to start wearing them, but instead create the occasion yourself. And so I'm thinking of really small occasions such as going to the mall, going out to eat, going to take a stroll around in the city, having friends over for dinner, simple things like this that wouldn't necessarily be thought of as a huge occasion, but at least are, a nice way to wear your items that are pretty much dormant in your closet. I think that it's really important to kind of, treat every day as an occasion and to see the good in every day and to see something exciting in every day, and definitely to wear the beautiful things that are in your closet. So the number two reason is I don't wear X because I only have one, and that's kind of my specialty. But here, the first thing that you would need to tell yourself is that most items can be bought again. Obviously, there are some things that are hard to come by, perhaps handbags in special colors by Chanel or by Hermes, of course, that would be pretty hard to find. But for example, if you take a look at designer shoes, most of them can be bought again, and so you need to tell yourself, for example, for shoes, but that's also valid for clothes, for accessories, for jewelry, and so on, that most items can be bought again, and then you need to have a rule or force yourself to try to have a rule that you cannot buy a second one until the first one is what I would call well loved. I think that way you will be more inclined to wear the first pair of shoe or the first bracelet or the first whatever, and then you will wait until you buy a second one, and then by the time that you actually get to buy a second one, you will have used your first one because you will have been more inclined to wear it to be able to get a second one. I think that's a great way of doing things. Instead of telling yourself, well, I want to keep it fresh until I get a new one, blah blah. But then getting a new one is kind of useless since you're not going to use it anyways. So I think, for that reason, it would be a really good way to start using your designer items and to bring out these babies. The number three reason is I don't wear X because I'm afraid of damaging it. And here I think this is also something that I mentioned before, but most items can be bought again, pairs of shoes, jewelry. Most of that is easy to come by. For the select handbags that aren't easy to come by, and that you would have to do some research to get again, or you would have to pay a premium or something like that, I think that you need to reasonably tell yourself that if you are careful enough with your items, you won't end up damaging them very much, or at least not until a very, very, very long period of time of using them. I think that this is something that I've kind of come to terms, with Chanel handbags. Previously, I was waiting for occasions, definitely very guilty of doing that, and then also waiting to have several bags to be able to use just one. And then I was telling myself, oh my God, my bag will be damaged. What if this happens? And I kind of saw every, worst case scenario. But I think that you need to tell yourself that if you do make a good decision in terms of color, in terms of type of leather, then you won't have any problems using it, and it won't, yield very much damage. And what actually does yield some damage is to leave it in your closet to what I call rot. these poor handbags that don't get taken out very much, and that are in like a humid setting or something like that. It's not very good for them to leave them in their dust bag all year round. So they have to be taken out once in a while. So if you really need to force yourself, then I would recommend to at least tell yourself that you are doing your bags a favor by taking them out, and you won't damage them very much if you are careful with them. The next one is I don't wear X because I'm afraid of lowering the resale value. So this one is pretty much very similar to the last one. The main difference really is that this is more for people who only see the resale value when it comes to luxury goods, or at least like obsess over it. And I try very hard not to fall for trendy items. I've actually released a video fairly recently on my channel that was about the 5 brands, the 5 designer brands that I would never buy from again, or that I would simply never buy from. And most of these are like trendy brands. By the way, if you are interested in seeing this video, then I will go ahead and leave it in the little information link over here for you to see it. So I don't fall for trendy items, and I think that if you do, make a very conscious choice about your purchases, if you select timeless, classic pieces that will last a long, long period of time, your resale value should definitely hold the test of time. And I do think that, kind of similar to what I mentioned before, if you are very careful with your items, if you know how to not scratch them, if you can adapt maybe the length of your nails to your bags, if you can adapt your movements to your bracelets, something like that, then you should really have no problem whatsoever with the resale value. I think that it's an important thing to keep in mind, and that's for sure, and that's why I don't precisely go for these trendy bags. But I also think it's important to really enjoy your collection and to really, enjoy wearing your items and not worry too much about the resale value. I think it's important to kind of have a balance between having that in the back of your head, but then also enjoying your collection. And lastly, we have I don't wear X because I'm afraid of being overdressed. This is actually something that I'm not guilty of because I am usually the most overdressed person on the planet. But I did hear that it was a struggle for some people. And here I think that you need to tell yourself that the opinion of others doesn't really matter. And I know that's really hard to tell yourself. I've been struggling with that for a long time. I think that I kind of tend to perceive myself through other people's eyes. And so, people's judgments, their opinions, things like that really, really matter to me. And I almost, sometimes dress for others or behave for others, which is really a terrible thing to do. So I think that you need to tell yourself that it doesn't really matter what others believe in. And I think, sometimes when you are with a group of friends, for example, none of my friends dress up, or none of my friends are actually interested in designer goods, I think that you need to tell yourself that it's okay to be, the odd one out. Or I think it's fine to tell yourself that even though they're not exactly like you and they're not exactly dressed like you, if they are really your friends, they won't mind and they won't, judge you too much for it, at least. So I think you need to tell yourself that you are, using your designer items for yourself, to please yourself, and not necessarily to please or not please others. I think that's definitely something that's important to keep in mind, and that, if dressing up is your thing, if you enjoy taking out your bags, then definitely do it, and don't think of what others will feel like, think, believe, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And for people that you will never see again in your life, or, strangers out in the street, honestly, who cares? So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video was helpful for you if you too struggle to take out your designer items. I think that we all do, honestly, for various reasons, but I think that it definitely deserves to be taken out and to be well loved. So if you did enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.